I love you.
I swear.
Ooh.
I know you start. I know you usually start, but the one time that my microphone was actually set up, I was like, no, I gotta stop and check. I gotta check. And and it was set up right. That's just how excited I am for this. I wanted to make sure I wasn't fucking it up.
No, I understand. Yeah, I feel you. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. I've been there.
I fucked it up already.
Now
We'll just start over.
What are you talking about? Welcome back to the couch. Potatoes. There's plenty of room for you. Happy to have you here. Please have a seat.
Sit down. We'll be here for a while.
I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh. We're going to be here for a hot minute.
A hot minute.
10 seconds at least.
At least 10 seconds. At least a minute 30. That's how long we've been here so far. I am the Faceless Leon, and this is a podcast about movies and TV called Green and Faceless on the Couch. We are starting a playlist, our first deep dive playlist. Because we got to talk these movies in grand detail. We are talking about The Lord of the Rings.
And speaking of grand detail, not a sponsor, but tell them about your nice TV, because that was so nice seeing this on that.
Yeah, I got it. Oh my God. I guess I'll say the brand. It's an LG OLED 55-inch TV. It was a gift from my father-in-law. Thank you very, very much. This was the first full movie we watched on it, I think, and it was a good choice.
Good choice.
It was a good choice.
Very good. Yeah, I made the comment beforehand, and I mean it, and I still mean it, and I'll explain why. That I don't notice quality updates. You know, it's like when I hear quality sound improvement, I'm just like, that sounded like my shitty stereo. Like, you know, it's like my ears are so bad with, you know, picking up detail in regards to like pristine quality that it's like it goes in one ear, out the other. Oh my God, I'm so gassy. What's going on? It's because I drink a lot of Diet Coke, let's be honest. Not a sponsor. But, and it's the same way with visuals, because I have seen movies in IMAX. I have seen, you know, I saw Avatar. I saw... what was that most recent one? Avatar 2. I mean, I saw Avatar 2 in IMAX. It was beautiful, but like my mind wasn't blown. You know, I was just like, wow, this is nice.
Yeah.
But like I didn't notice like a quality. It just looked as beautifully pristine as it could be, but like I wasn't like entranced.
Right.
But watching it on your TV, maybe it's just because I don't know if the OLEDs or if it was the proximity being even closer and it not being like massively blown out of proportion on a big screen.
Right.
But like, I mean that's the other thing is like Avatar 2 I think was filmed on an IMAX camera, so that was like what it was supposed to look like. But still, like it didn't wow me. Watching this on your TV wowed me.
Nice.
It was really cool.
It was really cool. And that just really speaks to the effects that Peter Jackson and the crew were able to pull off for this. We like to call them bubble movies. He had all the creative power pretty much on making this exactly what it should have been, and I think it's what it should have been. Personally,
I agree. Him and 200 of his best friends gathered together and had the most epic LARPing session you could ever possibly imagine. And it's some of the most beautiful cinema that's ever existed and will ever exist. Like,
I think
literally go 100 years down the line, and I feel like people will still be watching The Lord of the Rings and being impressed by it. Like, obviously,
this is far after paper, existed, and they find these digital files, and they watch The Lord of the Rings, and they're like, "Is this how life was once?" It's
just amazing. It's like us watching Metropolis now.
Yeah,
it's like you go back to that 1920s masterpiece of silent film. And it's just like, you know, it's obviously dated. Like a lot of people nowadays probably wouldn't be able to sit down and watch it. I love it. But you watch it and it's just like, it's somehow still so epic. And it's a silent film, but it's, you know, it's amazing. And that's how this is going to be. You know, 100 years from now, they're going to be looking back and be like, wow, it's kind of amazing. They made a movie like this, you know? Wow. And they only made it for like $90 million. Like,
that's insane. And so they actually began filming in 1999.
Yeah. They filmed all 3 movies.
And they filmed all 3 movies back to back. And
in the beautiful land of New Zealand.
And exactly, the beautiful land of New Zealand. And
which is now known as Middle Earth.
So 2 years later, they popped out The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. And right up ahead, I think I'm going to say this may be my favorite movie.
That's pretty fair. Like, I struggled to come up with a favorite movie.
Right.
Because a lot of people ask me, it's like, what's your favorite movie? And like, you know, for the longest time, it was The Empire Strikes Back. And sure. For another part of my life, you know, it's been The Lighthouse for a while now. I love The Lighthouse. But I honestly have to agree with you. Like, if it's not my favorite movie, it's easily in the top 5. And I'm talking all 3 of them.
Yes.
Because they're all, in my opinion, all 3 of them are just one long 12 to 14 hour movie.
That's right. Like, but this is still my favorite chapter of that very long movie.
That's fair. See, I've read the books, I think, 6 times.
Wow.
And my favorite... And I've had to explain this to people, so it's easy for me to remember how to explain this. My favorite movie is The Two Towers of the 3. Mm. And the reason is, that is my least favorite book of the 3. And again, we're going to be saying like things like book and movie. Like, I think they're all one movie. They're all technically one book. That's how J.R.R. Tolkien wanted it to be.
That's how he wrote it.
But they were all divided. They've been divided into 3 segments, and so that's the easiest way to talk about it. Don't get at us on the comments. Lord of the Ring geeks. We know. But,
we may know a little bit less than you, but we do really
we know way
love
less
this.
than you.
This review comes completely out of love.
From the heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from the heart. Don't come at us, Stephen Colbert, but do come on the show.
That'd be awesome.
That would be amazing.
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, featuring Stephen Colbert.
That'd be amazing. But no, my least favorite book is The Two Towers because it's divided. It's so stupidly divided. I think it's like part 1 is the remaining of the Fellowship, you know, going off on whatever they're going. And then part 2 is just Frodo and Sam. And it pisses me off. You know, it's like you get what's going on for the first half of the book for Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli up to a point. And then we go, whoop, going all the way back a couple days. Here's what happened with Frodo and Sam to get us up to that point. I hate it. It's so hard for me to read The Two Towers mainly because I hate Frodo and Sam's part. Because it's just like, it's kind of boring to me. It's like, they're just walking for a long time, meeting things, and like events happen. It's like, I don't care. But the second movie, The Two Towers, is so fucking cool. We'll get there, of course. Epic. But like, it's so fucking
That's
cool.
for sure.
But then my least favorite is the third one because the third one is my favorite book, The Return of the King. It's really awesome. I love it. And then the movie is really awesome and I love it, but it's not, you know, it's a little wrong now, but we'll get there too. But Fellowship, in my opinion, is the most loyal in regards to being just as much as, like, it's everything I wanted from the book.
Right.
You know, it's
just
as equal as the book is.
Peter Jackson morphed together and dropped away to make
goodbye, Tom Bombadil. You weren't needed.
Yeah, we don't need your strange tomfoolery, God. And
he doesn't make sense in the movie.
I think
portion,
originally came from a short story that Tolkien wrote.
Yeah, I think so.
And he got thrown into the novel when the hobbits left the Shire.
And it's fine in the novel because you can kind of imagine this goofy character who is going to easily forget shit. And it's like, yeah, there are excuses for why he shouldn't have the ring and why this story needs to go on. But when you see it in a movie, you can't just like, especially in a movie this beautiful in quality, you can't dispense that belief that
especially
that
in a
this
trilogy,
doofy guy can't do it.
Yeah. Especially in a trilogy, if it didn't come full circle, if it didn't mean something in that end, authors of novels are allowed to have fun tangents. But movies.
I mean,
are
it's
more
world
condensed.
building.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, this first one, before we dive into the
synopsis,
the plot, which most people already know about and everything,
but we're gonna do it
I thought it'd be fun to take a gander down the cast list and talk about these characters and as well as who could have played them, because I was reading beforehand who could have played them, and it's so fun.
For Aragorn, particularly, I was reading.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that one's hilarious. Let's start with the obvious starter, Elijah Wood playing Frodo Baggins. He is our hero, a little hobbit, tasked to carry this ring that he was given from his, I think, Uncle Bilbo.
Yeah, great uncle, I believe.
Great uncle. And Bilbo found the ring in the Hobbit stories. That's a different tale. We won't be doing that in this playlist at this time. But someday I'm sure we will talk The Hobbit. God help us all. But Frodo, he is lovable, charming. He is, pretty average Joe. Yeah. Kind of carefree, humble. Everybody loves him. Everybody wants to be him. Big dick wanter. But it seems like Elijah Wood. I mean, there was a bunch of people who are auditioned. But it seems like Elijah Wood was kind of just dead set for the role. It says here that Jake Gyllenhaal unsuccessfully auditioned for the role.
I saw that.
That's kind of interesting.
I like why was that included? Like
because he's probably the only other popular name.
The adverb was just not necessary.
Unsuccessfully. Yeah, right. Jesus, Wikipedia. Put Jake Gyllenhaal on the back burner. I know one other individual who auditioned for Frodo, but we'll get to them later. Next up is Gandalf the Grey.
Gandalf the Grey, played by Ian McKellen, the best person ever.
Oh my goodness, for real.
Yeah. I love this character too.
You look at his iconic characters and it's like Gandalf, Magneto. And it's just like two completely different characters. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. I love it.
And then he also played a Nazi murderer one time.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. He's played a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good.
But
Gandalf is a wizard.
Very mysterious.
He's a wizard.
Yeah.
And wizards are kind of interesting in this world. They play a role of kind of like guardians or overseers, but they are like emissaries for gods. Like they each have a particular god that they are an emissary for, and we don't really get into the pantheon at all in the movies.
No. Which is great. It's not needed. It would just become bloated. Like it's super beautiful, like to read about and like to get it mixed in, and obviously you can delve as deep as you want into this world. But yeah, the movies, they don't need to deal with it. They left it on the cutting floor as much as was needed.
It's interesting how though that these gods and things, like, they play a pretty important role as to why Sauron is the Dark One and trying to regain power. But it's a long story of like a cycle that just could not fit into this film. But it is really interesting. I suggest checking it out. It's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's even cooler too because like Sauron, the big bad, wasn't even the first big bad.
No, he wasn't.
He was like the apprentice of some other big bad.
Yeah, Morgoth was
Morgoth. Thank you.
That's master, and he was kind of an Istari, which is what Gandalf is, to Morgoth. So Sauron was originally on the same like plane of power as Gandalf and the other wizards. But once he started making the rings. So let's get back to this cast
No,
list
this
then.
is a deep dive. This is a deep dive. You're right.
Yeah. You're right.
He started making the rings. Like, you could even watch, like, the Rings of Power, which, you know, it's not in this world. It's a complete own Amazon Prime spinoff.
Right.
But, you know, you and I both enjoyed it.
I did enjoy
you
it.
more than I, but I did enjoy it. I didn't, you know, I had issues, and some of those issues are going to keep me from going back to rewatch it, because it takes a lot for me to want to rewatch a TV show, and, you know, it's a long story. But, like, I feel like that show did a great job at building up that world of Sauron and the ring building and everything. Like, it's really interesting.
And that's what it was, you know, what they set out to do with it, with the title and everything. But
and it's fun.
It was fun. And we did review it, so if you want to check that episode out, it's out there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We had stuff to say, I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Gandalf. Very mysterious, very fun. Ian McKellen plays him with, like, I mentioned it so many times, he makes, like, the perfect old man noises for, like, a grumpy wizard.
Yeah.
Like, it is amazing. Like, literally, when I made the joke earlier that they were all LARPing, like, live action role playing, but, like, they really kind of were. Like, a lot of these actors kind of just, like, went into this part. Like, Aragorn walked around on set, like, Viggo Mortensen walked around on set as Aragorn. Like, he acted like Aragorn throughout the whole production.
With his heavy ass sword.
Yeah. And like, there was a lot of jokes about how Sean Astin playing Sam was like the younger brother to Elijah Wood, or like the older brother kind of to Elijah Wood, always protecting him, always being there, like Sam is for Frodo. And like, you know, Sean Astin has said, he's like, he didn't need me there, but he's like, I was just in the role.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, well, literally, like, they all just dove into these fucking roles, and it's hilarious.
Sure
like, and Ian McKellen, more than most, like, Gandalf, his Gandalf is
it's pretty
masterful.
Perfect. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Here's some names that they thought might do it. Patrick Stewart.
I love Wikipedia. Wait, you went right to Patrick Stewart, which is great.
Yeah.
He turned it down because he disliked the script, it says on Wikipedia.
Which is interesting.
But I love the name before him, which is Sean Connery.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It says here, Sean Connery was approached for the role, but did not understand the plot. Oh man, it's so funny to me. Like, I don't get it. Wizards, and what are these halfling people? Who the fuck are you? What do you call these hobbits? I don't understand.
So, one that I think might have worked, and we just talked about him, was Patrick McGoohan.
Oh yeah.
That could have been interesting. He has a very wizardy presence. But I think he would have made a better Saruman, but we can't replace who did Saruman. Just can't.
No, we can't. No, but it says here Patrick McGoohan had health issues, so he turned it down. Other individuals to turn it down were Anthony Hopkins and Christopher Plummer. Anthony, I cannot see. I mean, I'm sure you could put a beard on him and everything.
Yeah, I think for some reason his head is just too large for the role for me. I'm also a large-headed individual. For me, it's his eyes.
Like, it's just like he, especially in 2001, he was much younger.
That's true.
I mean, Ian McKellen was much younger too, obviously. But there was a good old man quality about Ian, even back, you know, when he was in his like 60s, or I don't know. Even
I'm
how old is Ian McKellen?
Christopher Plummer. I can't remember anything that I know him from.
Hold on, I'll pull him up, because I do know you know him. I mean, he was King Lear in 2004. I mean, that was on Broadway, but I was like, I don't know how well they would have talked about him in classes, because he did a lot of stage. Why can't I find his filmography on Wikipedia? Step up your game, guys. What the fuck?
Well, in the meantime, Richard Harris and John Astin both wanted the part. They They also
And we know
offered
Richard
it
Harris.
to Sam Neill, which would have been really interesting to have Sam Neill play opposite of Hugo Weaving. Because
yeah, but I mean,
they're
he
the
also
same
didn't
person.
right? But also wasn't Sam Neill Merlin in that?
He was
remember that
Merlin.
TV
Yeah,
miniseries. Yeah.
he was Merlin in that. That's
Oh my
funny.
gosh!
That's funny.
I'm about to
I
give
guess,
up on my
I guess
Christopher Plummer.
that's okay. That's fine.
He was in A Beautiful Mind, but I don't know how much you remember the characters.
Yeah, not enough to pick out Christopher Plummer. That's
I know, right? That's my problem. I know the face. Like, he definitely looks familiar, but
Sure.
I can't place him.
yeah. That's how I feel. So apparently Sam Neill couldn't do it because of Jurassic Park 3. Like, oh my god, dude!
What a dumbass.
What a
What a
pass
dumbass.
up! Oh shit,
Alan!
Alan! All right, well.
Alan!
Let's move on to someone
Yeah.
else who will be interesting to talk about, and that's
Yes.
Viggo Mortensen.
We've already mentioned it.
Yes, as Aragorn, the Dunedain Ranger,
Also known as Strider.
You know, they don't really go into what the Dunedain are. It's a little hard to explain.
Men of the North is what they call
They
them.
are men of the North, but I mean,
that's how far the movies go.
yes,
that is.
that's how far they go. But the Rangers, I don't know if the job of Ranger is kind of like far spread out in fantasy. What they do is they go around and they make sure that the orcs aren't getting out of line, I guess, and kind of protect.
They get
things.
shit done.
They get shit done, and he is also, you find
They're
out
a lot more
throughout
utilized in
plot,
the books than they are in the movies.
Yes. It's also a lot to do with the fall of Isildur and stuff like that. How the Dunedain are formed and stuff. But he is, bringing up Isildur, the heir to the throne of Gondor. And man, I'm just looking at some of the fucking names.
Which to explain what Gondor is,
Yes.
like where Sauron is Mount Doom, Mordor. He's in this dark area. They call it the East. Do not look further into it than that, please. This is Middle Earth. This is not real world.
No, it is not.
But that
the
is
real
where.
world. No.
But that is where Sauron is located, and the greatest, biggest city of mankind is like basically right on the border, and that is Gondor. It's the White City.
And they've been
super beautiful, super big.
They have been fighting off orcs basically since the time of the big war.
The dawn of man.
No. I don't think there were any orcs at the dawn of man, actually, in this world. But
Who knows? Who knows? We weren't there.
we weren't there, but Tolkien
But Aragorn,
probably wrote it down.
he is a. I know, right? Aragorn is a good close friend of Gandalf's, and he is
Yes.
tasked with accompanying Frodo and the gang to, at first at least, to the elvish city of what's it called?
Rivendell. Yeah, Rivendell.
Rivendell.
That's the one I
Jesus.
can remember. I can't remember the other one.
Yeah, Lothlorien.
Lothlorien. Wow, good pull. Good job.
I know, right out of the brain dome. Well,
Colbert would be proud.
Again, literally, I know. Oh, thank God. I've mentioned it before on this show. My brain stores things in compartments, and Rivendell and Lothlorien are in the exact same compartment.
Well, there
I
you
don't know
go.
why,
Well, now
but,
that makes
yeah.
sense. They're both elvish cities.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I do know why, obviously. But no, Aragorn is very quiet, and he is very
Yes.
regal. He is very kingly, but I mean, at the same time, very dirty and outbacksy. Absolutely 100% dark and sexy. I fucking love Aragorn. It's great stuff.
It's good stuff.
But I can't have Aragorn because his heart is sworn to Arwen.
Played by Liv
might as well
Tyler.
just
Yeah.
very quickly wrap her character up here. Not at all important in the movies, honestly.
She's, though they make her more important than she is in the books, to be fair. Like,
That is true,
Yeah.
which is great.
they kind of
there's not
mix
much you
some
can do with this
characters
character.
into her character so that she can have something to do. Like, she
Yeah,
comes out of nowhere and saves Frodo from
Frodo.
the wraith poison.
She was sent by Elrond,
Elrond,
to
yeah.
meet the party.
And Elrond does have some kind of divination powers.
Just like the character in the books was, but it was he is very godly as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Liv Tyler. Before we wrap up Aragorn, I guess Helena Bonham Carter had expressed interest. That would have been great.
Oh, as Arwen? That would have been interesting. I think
as
Liv
Arwen,
Tyler
yeah.
was a good pick. It's just
Yeah, she is fine.
she doesn't I feel like she doesn't have the kind of pool that maybe Helena Bonham Carter. Oh, Jesus, I can't say words and it's right in front of me. Helena
That's all right.
Bonham Carter would have brought.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think she did the role just fine. She
did
has
fine.
a very ethereal feel to her, and I feel like it fit the elves.
Well, see, like it definitely works because like the elves kind of they're very quiet. They keep to themselves in a way because they they're snobbish.
Yeah.
And they kind of fade into the background of the Middle Earth.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Liv Tyler does. Is she kind of just fades.
She does kind
It's
of.
just like
In fact, she does kind
like,
of
oh, yeah.
in the later movies start to fade because Aragorn isn't there.
she's yeah, she's given her immortality.
I think there might be a warm
basically be
spot
with him.
for Arwen for me because it was one of my elder sister's favorite characters. And that is because
Oh, that's fair.
she really actually looks a lot like Liv Tyler. So-
Hey, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
I can understand that. Let's name some of these hilarious individuals who turned down the role or were passed over. We have
for
Daniel Day-Lewis, who was
This is for
offered the product.
Aragorn, not for Aragorn.
For Aragorn, that's right. Yeah, sorry. I jumped back because I hadn't closed on it yet. I'm sorry. My brain,
It's all good.
But yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis turned it down. I find that kind of sad. I think he could have been a great
would have been
Aragorn.
really good,
Viggo
but-
Mortensen.
Yes, he's perfect. And
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine giving two shits about Viggo Mortensen if he didn't become Aragorn. But he's such a good
Right.
talent that I'm very glad that he did this because I've watched nearly every movie that he's been in afterwards because I know that he's got talent.
Exactly. I understand where you're coming from because he is just amazing.
Yeah.
He does everything so perfectly. He is the role.
Yeah.
One I cannot imagine being in there is Nick Cage. Oh
I
my
mean,
god!
all
Can you
right.
imagine Nick Cage as Aragorn? It is equal for me. It is equal unbelievability as Nick Cage as Superman. Like
Yeah.
I just can't see it.
No, Superman.
I can't.
Superman, I definitely can't see. But this a little bit more because in the book, Aragorn is kind of rough, middle-aged looking, and kind of ugly. And I don't mean to say anything about Nick Cage, but he's no Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah, because Viggo
Viggo is very
Mortensen is a
attractive.
handsome motherfucker in this.
Yes.
This is like Aragorn, as I've already mentioned. I watched this a little bit for him. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah.
He is a sexy man.
But this-
another individual I can't imagine in this role is Vin
No,
Diesel.
I could not imagine that either. But also Stuart
Like, what?
Townsend, who was cast originally. I couldn't hardly imagine him playing the role either. And, so he was kicked off the film for good reason.
I can't think of Stuart Townsend. I know he was in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but I don't remember that movie that well.
Right.
I think that's
I
all
watched that
Oh,
movie
he was
quite
in
a
Queen
lot.
of the Damned.
Yeah.
Oh my God, do you remember Queen of the Damned?
I don't think I actually watched
Okay.
that, but I watched The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen a lot, so I got to know his Dorian Gray.
I hate that I saw that he's in Queen of the Damned and instantly recognized him. I hate that so much.
But yeah, I
what
couldn't
is wrong
imagine.
with me?
I think it was a very good choice to not have him do it anymore. But yeah, Russell Crowe was considered for the replacement. But yeah, that also, I don't know.
You didn't want to be typecast.
You don't want to be typecast. That is not
Yeah.
a similar role to the Gladiator role. It just isn't.
Nope. But he apparently thought. I mean, action star. I think is all it was.
He didn't want to be
sword wielding action.
He
star.
wanted to be.
Like,
He wanted to be incarnate in film. That is what he is in life, and that's a big ass stoner. And they just wouldn't give it to him.
He just like, can me and Snoop act together, please?
I can't get over that.
I love this part though. After Russell Crowe, they went back to Daniel Day-Lewis, and he said no again.
That's hilarious. Oh man,
That man did not need to be movie. He was just like, I only act when I want to. This
Yeah,
is
for
no,
real.
I'm good.
So they finally got Vigo in because one of the producer's son. Because one of the producers saw him in a play, and yeah, that's kind of cool. I that was kind of how I wished that I would have gotten discovered, but then I stopped auditioning.
Right.
So usually you don't
Maybe
get
someday
discovered
again.
as audition when you don't audition. Yeah. So yeah,
But no, I like this too. Mortensen, it says here, Mortensen read the book on the plane, received a crash course in fencing from Bob Anderson, and began filming scenes on the Weathertop. He became a hit with the crew by patching up his own costume and carrying his hero sword around it with them off camera.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
He's so adorable. I love it. But yeah, moving on from Aragorn to the
talked
next
about-
important character.
We did talk about Samwise Gamgee a little bit. He is
little
another
bit.
Hobbit, best friend of Frodo, and you get a little bit more of this friendship in the extended version because they do a lot more in the Shire, even though the Shire is a really big part of the theatrical release.
Right, it's still like an hour of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But yeah, Sean Astin, beautiful
It's
in the
great,
role.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
He's very dreamy.
yeah.
And daydreamy. I
Yes.
mean, like not as in like he's beautiful. I mean, he is
he's
handsome, man.
kind of full
But-
of hope, and he keeps Frodo going when Frodo can't go
Yeah.
anymore.
And I hate to say, but James Corden read for the part, and I can really see James Corden as Samwise. I could see that.
I could
so
see,
clearly.
yeah.
Like,
And really, nothing against Sean Astin. I thought he did an amazing job.
oh yeah,
But
he's amazing.
I feel like a lot of different people could have played Samwise. But
Right.
however,
Yeah.
a lot of different people could have played Samwise, and we couldn't have given a shit about Samwise. So Sean Astin
Exactly.
did make me care about
Sean.
Samwise.
Yeah, he brought a lot of heart to that character
Yeah.
because that character is the true hero of the entire
Right.
trilogy.
Yeah, I can agree
And
with
I think Sean Astin did a beautiful job at incorporating that, at being like, my character would never ever realize this. Like, Sam does not understand how important he is to this story, but he is like the most important character. That's great.
Right. Okay,
Good shit.
so next
Boromir.
we have a son of the Stewards of Gondor, basically the heir of the throne to Gondor since the true heir has been in exile. Boromir, played by Sean Bean. I love
Or
Sean
Sheen
Bean.
Bean or Sean Bond.
I love Sean Bean in this movie so goddamn much.
He is great. He really is. It's
He's
so
really
good.
He's really good. It's my favorite
'Cause,
Sean
yeah.
Bean character, and it might be my favorite character in the movie. I'm not sure.
All right.
I do love
All
Boromir's
right, calm down,
arc.
calm down.
I got a boner right now.
I don't know. I mean, Sean Bean, credit to the man. He is a great actor. I would say, I think I haven't watched all of Game of Thrones, but I have seen all of his
he's
parts in Game
really
of Thrones.
good at it.
And I can say that I think Ned would probably be my favorite Sean Bean character because he gives that character so much depth.
He does.
But I mean, he gives Boromir a lot of depth too. Like, Boromir is the corruptible member of the Fellowship. I think the movie does a great job at showing how the ring, which, you know, again, eventually Frodo is tasked with carrying the ring to Mordor after a big meeting at Rivendell.
Yeah.
But all the members, you know, the ring affects the wearer specifically. You know, the one who wears it's a heavy burden. It saps up their humanity, their energy, everything. It's very malicious. And it just does, it just does this to everybody too. Yeah. Like, and I think the movie does a good job at showing that everybody gets a little on edge near the end. They're all a little frustrated and easily angered. None more so than Boromir. Boromir becomes so corruptible because he sees it as a way of he sees the ring, that is, as a way of bringing his people out from under this. You know, he's like, we should use this weapon against the enemy. Yeah. And you know, it's
the same mistake that Aragorn's forebears made. Yes. So now let's go ahead. Isildur, cast it into the fire.
Boromir was also Bruce Willis was expressed interest in a role, which I think is hilarious. Yes. Could have worked in 2001, I think, you know, when he still had hair. Could have been fine.
Did he still have hair in 2001? It doesn't matter.
I think so.
I feel like he was still too old for the role, honestly.
I think he could have made it been fine. I mean, I think Sean Bean, nobody could do it.
I feel like
Liam
Neeson is another name that could have been Boromir.
Yeah.
I feel like
he could have
been a very good Aragorn. Like, why wasn't he considered for that? Yeah. I feel like that could have worked.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
But anyhow.
Another character that there could be no other actor for, and it offers no other actor here, is Billy Boyd playing Peregrine Took.
Pippin.
Better known as Pippin.
Yeah.
Pippin is the goofball. He's the class clown.
Yeah.
He fucks everything up. He's the black sheep.
Yes.
Like, so many different adjectives and idioms for Pippin.
In the next character, played by Dominic Monaghan, playing Meriadoc Brandybuck, also known as
Meriadoc Brandybuck.
These guys are both distant cousins of Frodo, and
and they're best friends themselves.
Yeah, and they are best friends, and they're always together, and they are very much on this adventure by accident.
Which is beautiful.
More so in this than in the book. I remember.
Yeah, in the books,
I think they kind of went off together in the books.
Yeah, in the books they were all at they helped Frodo move, and then they were like a little more involved in him leaving, because they were they're covering it up by using one of their friends to stand in as Frodo for a while in case anybody came around to ask. There was a whole plan and shit, and whereas in this one they're just kind of like, get the fuck out of here, shit's going down, and just get out of the Shire real quick. When Peter Jackson realized he'd been in there for an hour of movie time.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's like, we gotta get out of here.
We gotta get them going quick. Crack a carrot.
Sexual innuendos.
But Dominic Monaghan got the part for Merry after he auditioned for Frodo. So he was another unsuccessful Frodo auditioner.
Well, he still got to be in the movie, and Merry is a perfect character for him. And he's good in Lost too, but I don't like the character like I like Merry. I love Merry.
Charlie has issues. I mean, that's the thing, is Dominic gave Charlie a lot of again, more depth than Merry gets, but Meriadoc is just fabulous. Him and Pippin together are just something to be reckoned with.
But you know we'll talk about this later, I guess. But when they're apart, it's even better.
Yeah. They have a beautiful podcast as well. Not to shout out another podcast
we can
that doesn't
do that.
need it.
We
but
can
you
do
should,
it, but they don't.
You should
need
check
it.
out Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan's podcast.
We don't know what it's called. So
I don't remember what it's called.
John Rhys Davies, what? As Gimli, we've already mentioned this several times. Not Sulla.
He is not an Ent right now.
He's not an
Next
Ent?
movie. Not in this movie.
Oh, he plays
John Rhys
plays
Davies.
Treebeard?
Yeah, he's the voice of Treebeard. You didn't know that?
I guess I didn't know that. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, but we'll talk about that later. So Gimli is a dwarf. He's the only dwarf who manages to get into the Fellowship, but there are a couple of other dwarves at Rivendell. And Rhys Davies actually plays Gloin, Gimli's father. I never knew that either.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
That's really
Whoa.
funny.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
he's perfect
he's
for the role.
perfect
Let's
for
be
the
honest.
role. I mean, I never would have in a million years guessed that it was Sulla underneath that makeup.
No.
And this is a character
As I
from
mentioned in Indiana
by the
Jones,
way.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like when we reviewed the series, I was like almost blown away because I was like, "What?"
Yeah, he's great.
It's fucking hilarious.
He's a great dwarf. Everything he says about dwarf culture is great. It's just, yeah.
Honestly, like
great ad.
And this goes to the effects of these movies. Like, I literally would have thought John Rhys Davies was, a little person, because it's
they
like,
do a great
and the
job.
same thing with the Hobbits. Like, they do such a beautiful job at how they film everything, how they use forced perspective, or how they shoot in different locations and all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's so well done because you have so many different height differences between these characters.
Right.
The Hobbits are like 4 feet. The dwarves are probably like a little bit shorter than that.
I'm gonna say
then,
average out at 5, probably max.
Yeah. It's just crazy. Like, and how well they handled it. The fact, again, it's the same thing. It's like, the reason I probably didn't recognize that it was Sulla was because I thought that John Rhys Davies was much smaller than he is.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's pretty obvious in Indiana Jones that he's a pretty big man.
I know.
Which works
it's
for
crazy.
a dwarf, though. Like, if you shrink that down, it looks like a big, stocky, small person.
Yeah. A stout individual,
Yes.
Incapable of being toppled.
No, never toss a dwarf.
Yeah, and you would
That
never
was a
do
terrible
that. Never.
Welsh accent. I'm sorry, Rhys Davies. So the next character,
But Gimli is he's best friends.
his best eventually, not really in this movie, but I just ship them so hard. Legolas is an
Who
elf,
doesn't?
a prince of the elves from the Woodland Realm, played by Orlando Bloom. Now, this is, I feel like this is his best character by far, even though he just shouts all his lines. But
Yeah.
I love Legolas. He's so cool.
No, I love him too. I mean, his Will from Pirates of the Caribbean is almost equally as good as Legolas. Like, I love his Will Turner as well. As Will. But no, Legolas, there's something so perfect. Like, Legolas and Aragorn, again, I don't want to objectify these men all the time, but like, I'm not that attracted to Orlando Bloom outside of Legolas.
It's because
But
he's
as
blonde.
Legolas,
It's because
I mean, I'm not usually attracted to blondes. I'll be honest, I'm not.
I'm not either.
Like,
I will be. Yeah.
But as Legolas, I don't know why, but he can shoot his arrow into me all day.
That's wonderful. I like him. I like his look better as Will Turner. I think Orlando Bloom is a very attractive person, actually.
He is a handsome man, but yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know.
Legolas.
He is
is
sexier as Will Turner because of his little facial hair.
Yeah,
but
it's another one that I think absolutely fabulous performance. But I don't know, another thin, tall person could have played Legolas. I think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But I do.
They wouldn't have looked as good shooting the arrows.
That's right. He shot the shit out of those arrows.
He could have been a good Faramir, though, which is who he auditioned for. But I'm happy he got the bigger role as Legolas.
So really quickly, I do want to just mention that Ian Holm played Bilbo Baggins.
Yes.
He had the ring for several years, and it gave him long life. But there is this corruptive pool to the ring that we will talk more about. And then there are 3 more characters that I think are important to talk about, and that's Cate Blanchett as...
I think 4.
What?
I said I think 4.
Okay, well...
Because we haven't really talked to Elrond too much.
That was one of the characters I was going to bring up.
What about Gollum?
Gollum is not in this movie. His eyes are in this movie. We can talk about him next time. His eyes are in the
movie.
We can talk about him next time. He does scream. Andy Serkis plays Gollum. The world knows that. We'll talk about him next time.
Fine.
Cate Blanchett. Damn it. Plays
Cate Blanchett.
Cate Blanchett plays Galadriel, and she is a co-ruler of the elves, but she's like such a badass and like the main character. She is the narrator, but she is also the main character of the Rings of Power, and the person that they cast, like, without looking like Cate Blanchett, looks a lot like Cate Blanchett, and it just, I feel like, I imagine that Galadriel becoming this Galadriel, and I like it. Anyhow,
that's I can't see it, but that's
she and Elrond are two the only other 2 people that we know of that have Rings of Power in the film.
Doesn't
I'm
not sure.
Actually, you know what?
I was going to say that
Gandalf has one, but I don't think they talk about it in the film.
I was going to say, I thought Gandalf had one, but I didn't know for sure.
He has one that does fire, I think. And I don't quite remember what Galadriel and Elrond's do, but Galadriel is the only one that outright talks about it in the film. She's like, I too am a ring bearer, and shows the ring.
She shows it off too. It's very beautiful.
So she's very important in the very last part of the movie. She helps them get along by adding provisions and stuff, and she narrates, which is important. Hugo Weaving.
Honestly, like, once you hear her voice at the beginning, though, it is the most soothing and immediate. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, it brings you in.
ASMR.
I mean, it is perfect ASMR, but there's like, I don't know, it's so enveloping that it's just like, I didn't get to see these in theaters, sadly, but I can only imagine, like, when I watch it on my couch, it's always just immediately like, you hear the music, which, by the way, Howard Shore, amazing. Like, that guy. This is one of the best compositions of all time. Like, it's good.
It's pretty fucking good. I do listen to tracks of it with
I know, right?
Yeah, with no.
But I mean, like, you hear that music, and then you hear Cate Blanchett's narration, and you're immediately just like, I'm settled in for the next day of my life. Yeah. I'm gonna watch these. Nothing else in the world is gonna matter. Let's fucking go.
So, real quickly, let's talk about Hugo Weaving again, playing Elrond, because he did that really quickly. He is the Lord of Rivendell, and he leads a council, and David Bowie was like, I can do this.
Yeah. I like Peter Jackson's reasoning, though. He said to have a famous beloved character and a famous star colliding is slightly uncomfortable, and I agree. Because it's like, you can look at all of these actors and they all get immersed in the role. I feel like if it was David Bowie, I would be looking at this and being like, David Bowie.
David
You know,
Bowie
I wouldn't be thinking
in
Elrond.
This movie. David Bowie in this movie. Yes. Hugo
but I
Weaving.
I agree with Peter Jackson.
It's really hard to imagine anybody playing Elrond in this movie anyways. Where'd I go? It's but the guy who plays him in the show, I do like that choice. I thought he was good. I once again, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, he's fine. Yeah,
I thought he was good. But anyways, yeah, they along with Gandalf and Saruman the White, Christopher Lee, have been holding this like council between themselves to protect Middle Earth for the last like couple centuries. And Saruman the White is also a wizard. He is the head of the Istari Order, and he's Saruman the White, while Gandalf is Gandalf the Grey. In this movie, they don't really go into the other wizards, but there's a brown one and 2 blue ones.
Yes. And the brown one's Radagast, who's played by
Radagast.
Sylvester McCoy, who is the Doctor from Doctor Who.
That's true. We'll talk about that when we talk about The Hobbit. So
I just had to get my Doctor Who fact out of the way real quick.
Good job.
Thank you.
Sylvester McCoy was considered for playing Bilbo, though.
Yeah, that would have been good. I mean, he would have worked really well.
Would've,
I mean, Ian Holm is perfect.
Yeah, I
but,
can't hardly imagine
Ian Holm
it
and
not
Sylvester
being
McCoy
Ian
are.
Holm.
Yeah. They're very much in the same class of actor, though, I think.
They play similar characters, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant, yeah.
So that is
Christopher
the cast.
Lee.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Lee, he was, he actually knew, like, he had met J.R. Tolkien. He loves the fucking books. Like, he was probably, like, the biggest fan of these books. And like I know he wanted to be Gandalf initially. That was like one of his lifelong dreams, I guess. He was sadly deemed too old.
The world took too long.
Yeah. He eventually played Saruman, which he's fucking
amazing. It's really hard to imagine anybody else with that white gray beard. Yeah.
And we'll talk some of the fun stories because he has some fun stories, but I think they apply more for later movies. So we'll go into them then.
Okay, well that is the end of the episode. No, I'm just kidding. I do feel like we should. We talked a lot about the plot without talking the plot of the story. I feel like so. I think
that's fair. Yeah.
After we do a soda pop break, we will go through the story real quick, and then maybe just talk about our favorite moments for a moment, and then do closing statements.
Yeah.
All right.
And talk about like book comparison-ish.
That's right.
I mean, we've already kind of done that too.
All right. We will be back shortly. Basically immediately.
Bye. I love you. Oh, a diddly 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 do. A pirate's life for you.
A pirate's life for me. You know, I didn't grab my computer charger, but I think we'll be okay. Are we back?
Let's just risk it for the biscuit.
Risk it for the biscuit.
We've been back.
Yeah. You know,
there was actually no pause at all. We accidentally, we forgot to edit this, and we just put out, 2 minutes of dead silence.
Time. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
That's really gonna make them
actually.
happen. That's really gonna make them happy with the fact that it's already been an hour. So we're back. And if you stuck with us, you noticed that we talked the cast first. We kind of usually do the opposite. But particularly for this film, I think that was a good idea because the whole point of the film is these characters getting together and going on this quest with each other.
this
thus
epic fucking journey.
The title, The Fellowship of the Ring. But let's talk about the story for a little bit. We got to try to be a little sparse on the details because it's a long movie. And then we'll talk a little bit more. So
yeah, we've already set up the ring and everything. Right. How Frodo came to get it.
That's right. He got it from Bilbo as an inheritance, and Gandalf finds out that it is the true One Ring of Power, which allowed Sauron in great olden times to control everybody who had a Ring of Power, and almost ended Middle Earth. So he lets
almost destroyed all good things.
So he lets Frodo know about this, and Frodo's like, well, then you take it. And he says, I can't take it because it's a corrupting power and I would be too strong a tool to allow Sauron to have, because Sauron still exists. He's been diminished, but he still exists. So he quests Frodo to take Samwise Gamgee as a bodyguard and go to Rivendell. And so on their way to do that, meanwhile he's going to go talk to Saruman to get him up to date.
Yeah. Because they're friends.
They are friends. Supposedly. The two hobbits, they go out, accidentally meet up with Merry and Pippin, which is hilarious. And then they get chased by
each other in a corn meadow.
Yes, they get chased by a Nazgul, who are after the ring, and know that it is in the Shire. So they are escaping the Shire.
And the Nazgul were the 9. So there were of the rings. So Sauron, there was a bunch of rings made. Yep. 9 of them went to. It was 9, right?
I believe it was 9 for the kingdoms of men.
Yeah. I think that's right. Yeah,
7
and he gave 9 of them to men, and those men, they were corrupted. Their life force was basically sucked out of them until they were like nothingness, and they became these Nazgul. These they're
wraiths.
Formless.
They are called wraiths.
Yeah, ring wraiths.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they're just these pretty much they're these formless beings.
Yeah.
And they wear these cloaks so that that's their look, because they they got this they're the Dark Riders.
Right. And they kind of act as Sauron's special forces. And then great commanders when he has armies formed and whatnot. So they are running away from that, and they end up at the Prancing Pony, which is where they're supposed to meet Gandalf. But meanwhile, Saruman is actually working for Sauron.
Evil!
He has portrayed his order because he wants to share power with Sauron. And Gandalf is like, you're being a fool. He does not share power, yada, yada, yada. They get in a big fight, even though Saruman does initially want Gandalf to work with him. And he imprisons Gandalf.
Because then they would be unstoppable.
He would be. That's true. But he imprisons Gandalf, and so he is unable to meet the hobbits at the Prancing Pony. However, they meet somebody else. They meet Strider. And that is the name that we are given in the beginning for Aragorn. That is his ranger name. And he saves them from another ringwraith attack. And they start adventuring together towards Rivendell. Now, once again, the ringwraiths catch up with him. And that's kind of Pippin's fault. Pippin and Merry decide they need to make dinner and start a fire.
I mean, they're hobbits.
They're hobbits. They need food. It's important to them. So so the ringwraiths come, and they start fighting. Well, I don't remember what the hobbits actually start doing, but Frodo uses the ring to try to escape them, and realizes that is not what he can do. by the way, to the user, that if they're not Sauron, the ring, its power seems to be invisibility. But
yeah.
But really, it really, while it does give you that advantage, it really is just alerting Sauron to the fact that the ring is in use and is accessible.
Yeah. It's putting you on a plane of existence where he can see you.
Yes, exactly.
And it's just like, that's pretty much what it's doing.
And unbeknownst to Frodo, these wraiths half live on that plane. So they see him, and he actually sees their true forms. And
which is disturbing.
And a fucking awesome effect. And they
I think they're just like negativing the footage. They're just like taking the negative of it and then removing the guy's nose.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all they're doing.
That's true. But it still looks fucking awesome.
It works.
Frodo gets stabbed, and it's a bad magic sword, so he starts getting really gross and scary.
He can't breathe.
Yes.
He's got asthma. Real bad.
Viggo, Aragorn, that is, comes in and fights off the wraiths, and he and the hobbits are barely stumbling along trying to get to Rivendell, run into Liv Tyler. She rides her horse super fast, and all of a sudden Frodo wakes up in Rivendell, and Gandalf has escaped Saruman.
Yeah.
And then they have a big meeting, which calls a bunch of elves.
Yeah, that's when the fellowship is formed.
Men is the name of the race of humans in this world.
Right.
And dwarves come as well, and they talk about what they should do with the ring. Boromir is like, I want to take it to Gondor, like we already talked about. But they're like, no, we can't do this. Gimli tries to destroy it.
He tries to destroy it. He's like, I could just break this ring with my axe.
Yeah, and that doesn't work because it's not made with gold. It's made with mithril or whatever, and magic.
Yeah. It's forged in the heart of the volcano.
That's right. And of Mount Doom. And so they decide that somebody needs to take the ring to Mount Doom and throw it in to destroy it like Isildur couldn't. And they start arguing. And over the arguing, Frodo volunteers. He says, I will take it.
The dumbass.
Yeah. And Gandalf's expression during that, so good. It's like, I love you.
It's perfect.
It's like, I love you so much.
Because he knew what was going to happen. He knew that was going to be the outcome. Like, he was very aware, and he was hoping against all hope that Frodo wouldn't do it. That Frodo would not be the person he knew Frodo to be.
Right.
He was just like, please just let Frodo be this selfish, lazy hobbit who is just going to want to return to the Shire. Don't do this to him. But no, Frodo speaks up, and you can just see it like crushes Gandalf.
It crushes him, but you also see this pride. This like
it is a silent
so because of Frodo's bravery and earnestness, Legolas, Aragorn, Gimli, and Boromir all volunteer to go with him, and the hobbits, of course, they volunteer as well because you can't separate the group.
Sam, Pippin, and Merry were rudely not invited to the meeting, but they showed up anyway.
It's a great moment. But yeah, they become this fellowship, this questing party to take the ring to Mordor. Well, if only it was that easy. The rest of the movie is a lot of trials and tribulations that maybe we'll talk about more in our favorite moments and stuff. But eventually they decide that they have to travel through the mines of Moria. And Gandalf did not want to do this. Now, there was strong suggestion from Gimli to do so because his cousins live there.
Yeah.
And
Mines of Moria are a dwarven area.
That's right.
And he just wanted to visit his family.
He said this would be great. We'll get to have like a banquet to welcome us, and then we can go with new provisions on our way.
Yeah.
I'm
And maybe without one dwarf, maybe or the elf. I mean, maybe the elf would get killed there. Oops.
oops, and Gimli would be happier for it. But then, he wouldn't know what would be. He would not know what would be. They go in to Moria, and it's not what Gimli was hoping for. They find that all the dwarves have been slaughtered by goblins. And it's a sad moment. I really enjoy Rhys Davies' performance in that part.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you really enjoy watching them cry.
No, I think I really enjoy watching them cry. I mean, I did kind of say that, but I said it better.
No, it is a good moment. You really do feel the weight of somebody finding out that a good portion of their family was just murdered,
right.
like friends, family, and just like their people in general.
Yes.
It's very upsetting.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is, their killers are still there.
They are still
they gotta
there.
Get out.
And they get alerted to their presence, which honestly they probably already knew. I mean, a magical door doesn't open every single day.
I know, right?
So, another Pippin thing. Pippin
accidentally knocks some armor down a well.
Yeah, a whole fucking
It's a great
corpse.
scene. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. All he did was touch an arrow.
Yeah,
Obviously he shouldn't have touched anything, but
he literally just touched it. It was not really his fault, but it's very much a Pippin moment.
Yep.
The reason why Gandalf didn't want to go down there wasn't actually the goblins. So the goblins start attacking, and they have to start going deeper into Moria to escape them and to get out the other side. When they do that, when they get to like the most treacherous part of the mines, a Balrog comes out to greet them.
Yeah. This is what Gandalf was afraid of because he didn't know that the dwarves had been
slaughtered,
annihilated. Basically, yeah. What he was afraid of was that they had been digging so deep into this mountain that they would have awakened these great, terrifying creatures that could rival the power of even the greatest Astari.
That's right.
Called the Balrogs.
The Balrogs, and they basically are, besides Sauron, these guys were Morgoth's Istari. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were a big part of this war. It's not the first time Gandalf has fought these creatures, that's for sure.
No.
And he
but it is probably his most amazing battle.
Yes. And he's the thing is that when he battled them before, he probably was with other people who could help him battle them. And the fact is, the rest of these people are just fighters, and they can't get too close. And half of them half of them have no class whatsoever.
Right. I mean, these Balrogs, like this Balrog in general at least, is like a massive, I don't know how tall you would call him, like 15-foot shadow, maybe even bigger than that. Like, way big. Like, and he's just a shadow with these horns and a giant ass whip of flames, like terrifying creature.
Very scary.
Like,
and
oh my god,
yeah.
And Gandalf falls.
Gandalf does fall during this battle, but after he subdues the Balrog, he makes the Balrog fall first, and then the Balrog whips him with his flame whip. After him, and he
pulls
says,
him in after.
He says, "Fly, you fools!"
Yeah, he was telling them to use the eagles because there's giant eagles in this world, and they could have just flown to Mount Doom easily. And Gandalf was telling them, he's just like, "Hey guys, I had a plan all along. We're gonna go here and talk to the giant eagles, and that was the plan to save us a lot of trip." At least one whole movie.
He said all that.
We could have been done.
He said all that.
He said fly. That's what he said. He said fly, you fools. He told them to fly. And he was trying to tell them to go to the giant eagles, and they didn't understand what the fuck he was saying.
He didn't have time.
No.
But anyhow, they get out of Moria, and they're all really sad, and so are you, because it's a very powerful moment. And
Uh-huh.
they're very, very sad, and they start they start going right away. Like, they don't give themselves
Yeah, they
time to
walk.
mourn.
No.
They walk,
They
and
go to Lothlorien.
they get to Lothlorien, kind of escorted there less as company and more as prisoners, but they leave as friends. And yeah,
with gifts.
With gifts. They get more provisions. They get lamnus bread, which fills
locks of hair.
Gimli gets three strands of Galadriel's hair because he falls in love with her. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's a fucking weirdo. I love him.
I asked for a single hair. She gave me 3.
She gave me 3. Oh my god. It's hilarious. I love it.
Good.
No, and the lammas bread that you were going to mention is hilarious to me because I was going to mention earlier when we talked about how Merry and Pippin accidentally alerted the Nazgul of their presence by needing to eat food. And we made the joke that, well, they're hobbits. Hobbits are very food focused.
Yes, they are.
They have like 10 meals a day. Like, you know, they love
very
food. They love eating.
Sedimentary farming creatures.
Yeah. And there's this hilarious, I think it's a deleted scene, honestly, but I mean, we
watched the extended, yeah.
Yeah, I almost never watch the theater cut anymore.
Right, me either.
But my extended cuts are broken. There's a lot of they've been watched too much, and the endings for a lot of them just don't work. There's a couple of skipping moments, which is sad. I need to buy new ones, honestly. But there's I'm pretty sure it's a deleted scene though where Legolas mentions that the lambus bread, you know, you can buy, you know, a single bite of the lambus bread is enough to fill a full or sate at least a full meal. Yeah. You know, it's enough to be like, you know, they took one bite and they're sated, they don't need any more, they're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a full day. It doesn't fill them up. They could still be hungry.
Right.
But it's enough to be like, I'm fine. I don't need any more.
It's a rationing.
And then Merry asks, yeah. And then Merry asks Pippin, he's like, how much did you have? And Pippin's like, I ate 4.
Yeah. It's pretty great. Yeah. And I really did want to mention the lamnus bread because it kind of is a plot point in one of the
yeah, it's
movies.
Important later on. Yeah.
So they're getting closer to the realms of men. And, you know, men are kind of all over the continent, but like the main kingdoms are about to get to Rohan. The Rodinia, is that what it's called? It's,
I don't fucking know, man.
Rohan is a kingdom of horse riders, and they're getting closer to that. You see some cool man-made monolithic statues that are cool.
Statues.
And yeah, once they get on the embankment though, they're all kind of, you know, afraid, struggling, arguing with each other. And
yeah, the ring is bringing them all apart.
Yes, it is. And Frodo steps off to maybe be by himself and contemplate a little bit. Boromir goes after him, maybe not knowing what he's going there to do, but he does try to take the ring from Frodo. So Frodo puts the ring on and runs away. At the same moment, the party starts getting attacked by an army of Uruk-hai and other orcs, which they make that distinction in the movies. I think it's more foggy in the books, but they were brought out of the ground by Saruman to go after them and get the ring and do other things of his bidding.
The Uruk-hai,
Uruk-hai, that's right. And they show up and they start fighting the party, and
big battle.
Big battle. In the meantime, Frodo runs away, and Boromir dies trying to save the Merry and Pippin.
Merry. Yeah.
And well, he didn't quite die, but he fell in battle. And once Aragorn, he has a small conversation with Frodo, realizes Frodo has to leave, and comes back to help with the fighting, and Boromir's already on the ground. I'm kind of going into one of my favorite moments of the movie.
That's fine.
This moment between Boromir and Aragorn, where it's basically the last words of Boromir, you know, and he's like, I failed. Yeah. I went after the ring. I broke the fellowship. And Aragorn has to say, but look what you did, basically. Like, you fought to the end to save your friends. You are, and you
only betrayed yourself for your people too.
That's
like,
right.
You were
our people
always for Gondor.
That's a very important part of this moment, is that Aragorn is finally ready to recognize that he is a part of Gondor as well.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of their relationship, Boromir might have taken that as an insult, since he has lived his life away from the city. And he being Boromir and his father have been taking care of Gondor. But now, after these people have fought and now literally dying, in the same field of battle, they do see each other as brothers. And him saying, our people, Aragorn saying, I will not let our people fall, is the line. It brings Boromir a lot of pride and honor, and he's like, thank you. I needed to hear that you would take up basically his mantle, because at this point he is pretty much the heir of Gondor. If Aragorn does not step forward, he basically is passing that mantle on to Aragorn, and I just fucking love that moment, man. And it's just, and that's why scene. Boromir is one of my favorite characters, is because of his arc. Like, he kind of starts out as a pompous rich boy bastard, but he does have a very strong sense of duty, and and he does have noble qualities. He's just a bit of a privileged prick.
Yeah,
and
I've always liked Boromir mainly for the smaller scenes, like when they have their when the Fellowship rests, he's the one who's like training Pippin and Merry, and he's having fun with the hobbits.
Yeah,
like he seems like he was like for the Fellowship as they were traveling initially. He seemed like he was like a good comedic relief for the group. Like he brought a lot of he's hearty joyfulness.
I feel like out of all of them, he is probably the most used to traveling in a large group and being a important person in his city. It makes sense that he knows how to, entertain and work a group of people. That is a very nice moment to see too. I think him with the hobbits. It's great, hilarious, adorable. I love that part too. But yeah, I think he might be my favorite character for his arc.
That's totally fair. Yeah. I mean, I love Gimli and Legolas, like, as a pair. Mm-hmm. I love the pairs. I love Gimli and Legolas. I love Merry and Pippin, Frodo and Sam. Like, I love the pairing of these people, because it's like, I don't know, they really do, just especially Legolas and Gimli, they bring out the best of each other.
They do,
because like, I love this first one because it starts off with them being like, ugh, you're a dwarf, you're an elf, like, we hate you both, There's even like, I think there's like a line where he's just like, I won't die next to an elf or whatever. Right. Like, he says something along those lines. And again, having seen these movies so many thousands of times, it's exciting when you're watching it at the beginning here because you're just like, oh, I know what line's coming later on. You know, I know what you're gonna like, how it goes from here. And it's like, it's really just so fucking well done that they establish all of this whole fellowship as just a roughshod patch of people from different portions of this land who don't know each other, who are kind of against each other at times, but immediately they grow to rely on each other. They grow to even kind of love each other in a traveling way. And, you know, it's just like just watching them develop so quickly and not through a montage.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there are montage-like moments.
It's more just them marching, but the scenic aspect of it is so beautiful that...
Exactly. Yeah. It's beautiful. There's character moments throughout that, you know, they're not building, they're not like training. There's no character development happening in the montage. It's just camaraderie, and through that camaraderie, you're seeing that friendship grow with the next scene and the next scene after that. Like, it's great stuff, man. It's so fucking well done.
And then it all falls apart at the end of the story. That's
order goes the precise way it had to go.
The precise way it had to go. That's true. But I do love that, you know, you start off in this movie in a very hopeful place in the Shire. And then it's like, oh, big bad dark magic and some tribulations. And then you get these group of people together, and that brings back the hope really strongly. Yeah. And then it just all falls apart at the end. And that really sets up how desolate and heartbreaking the rest of the film and hopeless the rest of the movies are going to be. Yeah.
Well, honestly, like I think one of my favorite things about the stupidity of I mean, it works for Elrond. It makes so much sense for Elrond that, you know, he has this grand plan of sending all of them out there, this whole fellowship. You know, he builds this whole idea up. He overlooked the most obvious thing, which is the Ring's corruption ability.
Right.
He overlooked the fact that it would not harm just the person wearing it. It would harm the whole group. The very fact that they thought they can get to Mordor as a group is almost hilarious.
Yeah.
Because they barely get to Rohan before it starts tearing them apart like it does. It had to separate them. It was the only way that this could happen. And Frodo realized that.
And so does Aragorn.
Frodo realized that. He's just like, And Aragorn, to give him props, he does deny the ring.
Yeah,
you know, Frodo is holding him the ring, and he closes Frodo's hand. He's like, no. You know, he's just like, this is, you got this.
Yeah.
He's like, I have to go a different route because, like,
but he is very sad. He is very sad about it, and he's like, I would have gone with you all the way, Frodo.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
sad about the split, not sad about denying the ring.
Right.
Which is, you know, a great thing about Aragorn is he really doesn't want the ring. It would not help him. He doesn't see how it could.
No, he knows too much about the evil. I think.
Exactly.
So, and he also has the lesson of his ancestors as well.
Yeah. I just mean he doesn't seem that, of all of the Fellowship, he's the one who didn't seem that tempted by it.
Right. Fair. So he, one more story beat that I actually forgot. That is that Samwise almost drowns to follow Frodo.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And, poor Sam. So that's how they are still together. Sam
follows him to the end. He mentioned that he wouldn't let him go.
No.
And no matter how much Frodo tried to abandon everybody, he couldn't abandon Sam. It's so cute. I love it.
It's very good.
I would say, before my closing, I would say that my favorite scene is just the very beginning, Bilbo's party. I love it. It's so magical. It really does set the world. The Shire is really the perfect opening place for a crazy fantasy world like this. because you get all the changes, but all of the recognition of the real world as well.
Yeah, it has a lot of parallels to how people say they want to live their life anyways.
Yeah.
But the fact is that life is more like Gondor, falling apart in Metropolitan.
Yeah. But no, I love that opening. It's so magical. It's so happy. Like, as you said, it very much is hopeful. It's just like, oh, everything is so perfect and wonderful in this world. And they're about to go on this treacherous journey, but dear God, is it a beautiful bond that's brewed throughout for everybody. Like,
and I think also the Shire really makes Sam and Frodo better heroes. Like, the fact that they have no right being out there doing this, and yet they volunteered. It's pretty great.
Exactly. They stirred up from their cozy fireplaces to do this.
Yeah.
It's wonderful shit. I love it. Just to close, it's fucking perfection, man. Like, Peter Jackson created something that, it's impossible to ever imagine somebody being able to create this, something like this ever again. Quick shout out. I always forget the cinematographer's name. I'm so sorry. You only seem to work with Peter Jackson, to my knowledge, when that's Andrew Lesney.
You're good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You're good. I think you won one of the. I think he got one of the. Like, this movie got like 3 awards, and I think that was one of them.
Deserved it.
Was I mean,
Sam
it
Neill's
gets a lot
Gandalf
of
the
awards.
Grey.
Yeah, it only got this first one got 4. The first one got 4. I mean, the third one sets records when we get there.
Right.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But yeah, it won for best cinematography, best score for Howard Shore. Obviously, like, Howard Shore, like, my God, it's amazing.
Very,
best
very
makeup for Peter Owen and Richard Taylor. Great job there. And in best visual effects, I agree, from Jim Regal, Random William Cook, Richard Taylor, and Mark Stetson.
Makes sense.
It's fucking good. The visual effects are brilliant.
Yeah.
It still holds up too. 20 years later, watching it on an OLED TV where all of the errors could easily be pinpointed because of the quality upgrades.
It's still good.
It's possible. 4-star film, easy.
Yeah. I said it at the beginning, this probably is my favorite film, and I stand by that still. And I think that this might be my first two-face film. 2 whole faces.
Welcome to Green and Faceless, where the faces don't matter.
Yeah, and don't exist. So there you go. But yeah, I fucking love this movie. It's my favorite movie. If Sarah said, hey, do you want to watch The Fellowship, like even just part of it tonight, I'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something else to do, I'm sure. And but I love this, yes. And I think a lot of it is that Shire opening. It's like, man, I just love where this begins. It ends in a very sad place, but I love the whole journey. It's a great movie.
Yeah. You could crawl back from the desert after being stuck in the 100+ degree sands for 40 days. You can crawl into your home, beg for water, and Sarah's like, oh, before I can get you a glass of water, we have to watch The Fellowship of the Ring. And you'd be like, okay. Okay. Put it on.
I can last 3 more hours. I guess 4 more hours if we would watched. All right. Well, I think that's been the show. I think we did it. We sufficiently dived deep. Did you feel it?
We dove deep.
Yeah.
You stopped listening 30 minutes ago. Please. That's totally fine. We understand. It's late. We love you, Couch Potatoes. Thanks for showing up. We'll be back with The Two Towers.
Yes.
Next week.
Excited for that
or
too.
Maybe in 2 weeks.
We'll see.
Depends on what happens with her schedule. We'll hope it's next week.
Yeah.
That's what we're shooting for. Bye. I'm the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Bye. Safe travels and good night. I hit record again. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.